You did it. You all did it. We all did it. We made it to the launch week for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. There is something so stupendously amazing about that. There is something so crazily surreal about that. And in just a few days' time, you will be waking up every morning, brushing your teeth, grabbing an apple or a protein bar or a bowl of cereal, and getting straight back to Tears of the Kingdom. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switchforce. This is a nightly news update for you with a bunch of things that have dropped from Nintendo themselves and then from the world of Zelda around us. I think you're going to find these very fascinating. Some are very good. One is potentially bad is maybe too strong of a word, but let's jump straight into it. I want to let you know that there is a collector's edition strategy guide now available in the US. All right, we talked about how there was a Spanish retailer that listed the Legend of Zelda collector's edition strategy guide, but now it's available on Amazon. $44.99 hardcover guide, 496 pages, June 16th release. That's the weird part. How far are we going to be in Breath of the Wild by June 16th? At this point, it sort of feels like it's going to be our Korok Seed collector guide. It's going to be our coffee table book. It's going to be nostalgic. It's going to be going back for a second playthrough. It's going to be all of that. It's odd that this guide is not ready anywhere near launch, a full month, more than a full month after. I'm not sure if there were delays or issues or if they're just going to, take their time and write this guide as it goes. But these guides are very beautiful, and if you are super into Tears of the Kingdom, if you think you're going to love it, like you probably will, it's a nice thing to pick up. The Amazon, it's a pre-order. Maybe it comes earlier, but they are very much saying that the piggyback hardcover guide will launch on June 16th. Let's just get to the not great one right now. I was going to hold it, but I just want to discuss it. Okay, so one thing that has become a talking point about Tears of the Kingdom, and there's no spoilers here whatsoever. This has nothing to do with the story, nothing to do with the areas, nothing to do with the combat, nothing to do with the quest, nothing at all, except that the controls have been described as a bit difficult and a bit finicky. Now, we heard this back in the previews, but I've continued to see this echoed in people reporting who have actually played the game and in people I've talked to who have played the game. People I've talked to who have played the game and have said that the controls are a bit cumbersome. Now, I have found something interesting out, which is that the controls seem a bit overwhelming at first, but you do really get into it. And there is a strange set of rotation mechanics involved with Ultra Hand that seems to be the hang-up. Now, the game is a bit more complicated in terms of, okay, you can hold the button to throw something, and then you can click the D-pad to make sure that you're able to scroll through all of your arsenal to decide what you want to throw, or you can swap between your different abilities, but we've had ability swaps and things of that sort before. So really what's causing the kerfluffle, if you can call it that, is that when we pull up an arrow, right, we're going to use ZR, and then you're going to scroll through after hitting up on the D-pad. So your ZR, up on the D-pad, and then you scroll with the right stick. This is like a triple input for something as simple as selecting an arrow type. Now, before that was really easy, but now that we can fuse all sorts of items to our arrows, it becomes much more complicated, but for good reason. Like the flexibility and the variety here is being put at a premium above maybe simplicity of controls. So that's one. And then the other is the rotation of Ultra Hand. Ultra Hand allows you to grab objects, fuse them together, but because you're putting them in unique situations, attaching fans to rafts, as you've seen in the trailers, and maybe grabbing blocks and balloons and all sorts of things to try and create rockets the best you can, they give you a very full rotation suite. Now, it's not like a 360-degree rotation, and that's where the issue is coming up. You have on the horizontal side of the D-pad, horizontal rotation, and on the vertical side of the D-pad, vertical rotation. So as you pick something with Ultra Hand, you'll hold the R button to enter rotation mode and then D-pad to rotate. But if you pick something up at a diagonal or something has fallen and landed on something else, you're grabbing it not at 90-degree cardinal directions. So what I've heard is that, okay, it takes a while to get used to how you're going to rotate and adjust and move and maneuver these diagonal pieces of Zonite tech to best put on your vehicles, to best put on, the different pieces that you're building with Ultra Hand. But what I've also heard, and this has me really, really feeling positive about it, is that A, it does get better over time, and B, Actually, once you get a hang of it, there's a really quick way to flip things from diagonal to back to the cardinal directions. And it is through using the rotation. And if you just kind of stick with it and don't let your mind be like, oh my God, how do I take a diagonal and make it horizontal or vertical again? It just sort of happens. And based on what I've heard and based on who I've talked to, like if you can just let go and kind of just flow with it, that the controls do really find their speed, find their groove, and the diagonal issue is no longer really an issue. It does sound like scrolling through the menus horizontally is a bit more cumbersome, and big requests for like favorites. So you could like favorite like, oh, a Keese eyeball arrow for the homing arrow, or favorite a fire seed arrow for a fire arrow. There's no favorites, but it does automatically return you to the last item you selected. What I mean by that is if you're selecting, say, a Keese eyeball arrow, and then you go do some combat with a sword or a pole arm or whatever, and then you come back and use an arrow again, go to select an item, it will be hovering on the Keese eyeball. So it does have like memory retention of your last used item, but you can't set like quick slot favorites or anything like that. So your fingers are going to be dancing around, but I just want to prepare you that if you do hear people saying that the controls are rough, or that Ultra Hand takes a long time to get used to, or that the diagonals are really weird, just know that it does sound like, okay, get used to it. Don't over obsess over it. Don't overthink about it, especially when you're puzzle solving. Just trust that if you rotate those diagonals, you can get to a level where you rotate horizontally and then start rotating vertically, and you're back in the cardinal, north, south, east, west directions, and it sort of solves itself, despite a lot of journalists saying, oh, it's really difficult, and they might continue to say that in reviews. I think us as sort of like longtime Switch gamers, non-journalists, no shade to them, but I think we can handle it, and I think you kind of just got to let your body and mind do the work and not overthink it. That seems to be the number one tip with the controls right now. From here, I want to take you to Metacritic. We know that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom reviews are going to be out towards the end of the week. That is what Metacritic announced, and they said, hey, it's coming towards the end of the week, so we should know soon, a couple of days, what this game scores at. I'm expecting it to be incredibly high based on all the early reports, the buzz, and the fact that it's Legend of Zelda. But one thing that's plagued Nintendo games as of late is this user score review bombing. We've seen it on a bunch of Nintendo's 2023 titles, and I'm wondering if you think Zelda will face a similar fate. So we have Fire Emblem Engage, 80 Metacritic, user score down to a 6.6. We've got Advance Wars 1+2, 82 Metacritic, 5.0 user score. Bayonetta Origins, 81, but a 5.6 user score. And if we even look at Metroid Prime Remastered, 94 Metacritic, 83 user score. Now, 83 isn't bad, but you can see that review bombing has become an issue, and it has really plagued and brought down a bunch of Nintendo titles that are fully in the green, according to Metacritic, but then down in the yellow region for Nintendo fans. Pokemon Violet, as last year's release, is down to a 4.0, although that one has some justification because of all the performance issues. But this review bombing thing happens from time to time, way more frequently than it should, and I'm wondering if Tears of the Kingdom is going to be a victim of it. We could see a scenario where Tears of the Kingdom, say, scores a 94 from, or 93, whatever, from critics, but then is down at like a 7 for the user score. Even the Xenoblade Chronicles DLC, Wave 4, the big one, Future Redeemed, it's a 91 from reviewers, but a 7.5 from fans. I don't think this is a case of reviewers just inflating Nintendo scores. I think this is a review bomb case in a weird console wars type thing that's going on, and I don't even know the real impetus, the reason, the movement behind it, what the purpose is, but just know that Zelda could see this. I think Zelda could be immune because it's Zelda, but if it does see this, don't panic and worry that the game is not doing well or not being received well. There currently just is a crazy kerfluffle going on the Metacritic Nintendo side of things. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about a little bit of fun stuff you can grab for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and in a very nifty move, Nintendo has made a lot of their New York exclusives available on their website. They've been doing this over the last year or two, really trying to bring some big pieces and some fun stuff from the New York store that is very hard for the average person to get to, and put it on their website, their Nintendo store on Nintendo.com. They have 3 Tears of the Kingdom things that are coming launch night in stores, but a day before on Thursday, May 11th, online. And it's going to be a classic logo shirt with a Triforce on the sleeve. I like that a lot as a basic option. There is a really cool old-fashioned mug that has Zonai glyphs and a Master Sword on it, and it looks like it was kind of made out of a watermelon, like a really rotten old watermelon, but I mean that in the best way possible. That mug, though, is $40. yeesh. Nintendo actually usually has really good prices, but I think because this is like it looks like a piece of pottery, they've upcharged it. Maybe instead you'd rather spend $35 on their long sleeve black tee, which to me is the best piece. It has gold like Link arm and Zonai glyphs on one sleeve, blank on the other, with a nice Master Sword Tears of the Kingdom style chest patch. And then I can't tell if there's anything on the back or on the shoulder, but I definitely do see a like Triforce type symbol on the cuff as well. Very nice, very well made. Nintendo kind of kills it when it comes to their game merch. They don't really do big in-your-face logos, although I will say the Tears of the Kingdom basic shirt is that, but again, some people want that. They often do a lot of really cool, more designed type looks for their apparel, which I really appreciate, and which is why I buy a ton of it. But yeah, these look very nice, and if you're into Tears of the Kingdom and you want to wear while you play, that is an option. But like, just man, you made it to Tears of the Kingdom week. Kind of can't believe it, kind of crazy. I hope you guys are pumped. In a few days, you'll be playing. We'll all be playing. It's going to be wonderful, and you made it. If your year's been rough, or if your week's been rough, or your month, or even this last 30 minutes, just know that you have something great and exciting around the corner. So stay strong, stay positive, stay happy and healthy out there. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you'll join me for all the Tears of the Kingdom fun this week and into the launch and well beyond. So thanks again, everybody. Switch Force out.